Hello, 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 and welcome back, all of my beautiful friends from the internet. I am wishing you the most spectacular day on this fine Tuesday morning, or whenever you happen to be listening to the show, whether that's morning, evening, or night. Now, welcome to the Reddit Asks Us podcast, the podcast where we read and react to comments from r/Askreddit. I am your host, Luke Dick. Now, you can... Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts, maybe even Pandora. For some reason, the show does reasonably well on Pandora. I don't really know why. I've never really heard of it as like a platform, but it is what it is, I guess. It's, to each their own. Yeah, so please leave us a rating, and also please leave us a review. It helps the show out immensely. It gets the show spread, and it helps the show to reach new listeners. Thank you all so much for the ones who have been doing that. I immensely appreciate it. Thank you all so much, and for everyone who's been leaving reviews as well. It's just so encouraging, so awesome to see that. Remember, you can answer this week's Reddit question by going and listening in Spotify and clicking the description of the episode and any episode or the most recent episode, and there's a white icon that says reply, and you can reply to this week's episode, and I will read aloud that response on the next week's following episode. Keep in mind, I do only read the responses from the most recent episode, so if you do, feel free to comment and get your comment published on older episodes as well, because people would love to see that, but I won't read those ones out loud. It's kind of hard to keep track of when this is a very new system implemented by Spotify, so it's hard to keep track of when old episodes get new comments. But even if you don't have something to say or answer the question, even if you want to just comment that you enjoyed the episode, or if there was something in the episode that you liked and would hope to see again, then please feel free to comment that as well. Honestly, any interaction is good for me, so I really appreciate that. It helps foster a community. It's sometimes, for the longest time doing the show, is talking to just disembodied voices. I knew people were listening, I just didn't know anything about them. But now that Spotify allows this feature, now it feels like we can actually have a relationship. All right, so why don't we read the responses from last week's episode? So last week's episode was, what immediately tells you that someone is a trashy parent? So the first one here comes from Alex D. Alex says, I have a friend that his mom is a drug addict, and when I'll bring up something to my parents that I wish they do differently, they'll say, oh, do you want us to be like his mom? Oh my goodness. Jumping to conclusions, my friends. That is not even a jump. That's a leap. That is a flight to conclusions. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is the thing, man. Everyone, including parents, needs constructive criticism. You know what I mean? If I'm not appreciating the way I'm being spoken to, I deserve as a human being or being treated, then I deserve as a human being to offer up my perspective on that. Your perspective is worth something, folks. Next one comes from excuse me, Oscar. Oscar says, how their kid is. You can almost all cases, you can definitely tell a lot about parents by how crazy their kids are. But again, sometimes you get normal kids, like just super normal kids, and they have really bad parents. Kids who had to parent themselves, which is just crazy to think about. Next one comes from Stressed Human. What is up again, Stressed Human? If they're more concerned about their truck than their kids in the back seat after crashing into a semi on ice. Yes, my father did this. The semi-truck driver ended up taking care of my sister and I. That is concerning. Yeah. Oh no! My brand new Ford F-150 with the extended box! What am I gonna do? Yeah, Dad, there's human life here as well, so that's, something worth noting. It's, just there's also people here, not just your truck. Next one comes from Phil Savannah. What's going on, Phil? Smoking in the car / house with kids Smoking in the car or house with the kids inside. Drinking while pregnant. Parents who let their kids curse. I'm also interested to see what kind of facts you know about Savannah's history. Keep it up. I've read this and I wasn't sure what that meant. Am I supposed to know facts about Savannah's history? Did I say something on like an earlier show? I'm so confused. I've heard of Savannah, Georgia, but I don't think I know anything about it. I literally don't think I know a single thing about Savannah, Georgia. I mean, Georgia in general as a state I've heard is really nice. I know like the peaches are popular and the landscape is like cool. I know people say like and Atlanta, I've heard Atlanta is like a pretty dope city. I like the show. Atlanta, the TV show is awesome. Shout out Donald Glover. But these are all these are all great. I mean, it's so concerning the amount of people who just smoke today still. And it's like there has been decades of evidence that says that you shouldn't do this. And this is going to kill you. If you want a surefire way to kill yourself over a long period of time, there's almost nothing better than cigarettes. I mean, alcohol's up there too, for sure. But cigarettes is almost a guarantee of cancer. It's just a matter of time. But it's even surprising how many people in my generation still smoke. It's like for the aesthetic. A lot of people smoke for the aesthetic. It's like the aesthetic of cancer. Like I don't understand what the aesthetic is. You know what I mean? What look are you trying to pull off? Like unhealthiness? Detrimental health effects? I don't know. Not exactly sure about that one. Parents who let their kids curse. I mean, I think there's a certain age where I don't care as much about my kids if they're like swearing and stuff, because it's just like, it doesn't really bother me that much. But I definitely think when you're like, out in certain public places and when you're speaking to people in like professional settings, you definitely shouldn't be using, profanity. But in casual everyday life, it's like, people have been talking like this for hundreds of thousands of years, so I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But definitely don't want to pass those habits on to your kids, so it's not like you want to be like, I stubbed my toe. Hey, Johnny, when you stub your toe, you say, fuck, you just swear, you just it helps get out the pain. It helps process the pain. Excuse me, again, never, this one comes from the Burrito Cat. People who swear at their children. Yeah, that's different. I think that parents who let their kids swear are I don't think they're as bad as the parents who actively swear at their kids. I think that's a bit intimidating. My parents have never swore at me. Never, ever. And if they did, I'd be like, this is concerning. This is I don't know if you should ever be that angry at your kid. Do you really need to be that angry at a child that you're going to swear at them? Like, come on. It's their kids. Oh no, you spilled the bucket of paint. Fuck. Like, really? I think it's just like, that's just what kids do. Kids are, the funny thing about humans is the younger we are, we actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but we have less control over our motor functions. I don't think I've met too many 2-year-olds with fine motor skills who I'd really trust to I don't know, like fix a watch. I don't really know too many people with those level skills. It's the reason why we don't let kids. One of the good reasons why we don't let kids, like, I don't know, perform surgery on other people. Next one comes from Not Sorry 2. Throwing a fit when their kid gets caught doing something stupid. Oh my God. Yeah, we talked about this last time with the mom who was like defending the school shooter. It's like, there's no defense here. Like, you can't, like, just, why are you getting defensive? The kid is the one who did something wrong. Like, what, you just think that just your kid can't do anything? Other kids do things wrong. Yeah, that's true. But my kid, couldn't happen. Just wouldn't. I just don't think it's in the realm of possibility of all possible things that my kid could ever do something wrong. So, yeah, that's a scientific fact. So, do with that what you will. Another one comes from The Topic. What's going on? Not caring about their kid's life, friends, grades, etc. The kid may see it as a parent giving them space, but it's really just the parent being negligent. For me, this was so much like the other way around. I just never told my parents what I was doing ever. So I wasn't ever really up to anything bad per se, but I just I would have a basketball game and I just wouldn't tell my parents. And then I'd come home all sweaty and dressed in my uniform. And then my mom would be like, "Where were you?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, we just played this basketball game." Mom was like, "I kind of wanted to see that. I did give birth to you as a child. I want to be there to see you do things." That's kind of the whole idea of being a parent, is being there for them. But I'm kind of just my mind. Looking back, I'm kind of I just should have just told them. But I also just do you really need to see this? It's a bunch of 14-year-olds playing basketball. It's just not, But again, I think if my parents didn't care about wanting to be there, that probably would have bothered me. That if they didn't care at all, because I know that they did care about wanting to be there. It was really just I didn't want them to be there. Last one here comes from Goblin Writer. They don't understand the difference between having a different opinion than their kid versus their kid being disrespectful. Yeah, oh my God. It's are you talking back? It's oh, Dad, we should have taken the exit 2B. I'm telling you, I've been around the city. Exit 2B would have gotten to us. I think, I don't appreciate your tone. I don't appreciate your tone. I think you're undermining my intelligence. Are you really trying to do that? What, do you think I'm stupid? You think I'm an idiot sitting up here? I'm the one who's driving, right? Look who's driving, right? Idiots don't drive, okay? I'm not an idiot. And I think you're calling me one. So, and I'm just sensing the level of disrespect is just, it's off the walls. It's off the charts, all right? You're on thin ice. You're on thin ice right now. I'm just saying all the white people sayings. You're on thin ice right now, all right? So calm down, right? I'm the one making the decisions. Don't be my backseat driver. Okay, I didn't ask for that. You're my son, and you're going to sit there, you're going to shut up, right? No words. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Oh, my God. That's one. I don't want to hear it. Oh, that's a funny one. I mean, parents always say stuff like that, but that brings back some memories. I don't want to hear it. As a kid, just pleading, can we please go to A&W? Please. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Mom cooked. All right, she's going to cook tonight. No, please, burger. All right, anyways, thank you all so much for commenting. We got 9 comments on this one. That was awesome. 9 responses. I really appreciate you all going out of your way to provide a comment. This episode is a little bit more obscure of a topic, so I'm not going to be surprised if we don't get a whole lot of responses for this one, but we're going to just jump right into this week's episode. So this week's episode, again, is from our main favorite page on Reddit, Askreddit, and it's what secret was revealed when cleaning out the home of a deceased family member. So, honestly, I don't know if too many, I've cleaned out the houses of family members who are moving or since deceased or whatever. Don't know if I've discovered any secret that was revealed, but a lot of things, it's so interesting what we collect as people. Just why do we have this? It's this little dancing animatronic fish. When were you yeah, this is it? You're thinking, this purchase, that's the one. This is really we're gonna switch things up around here. All right, we need a vibe switch. Okay, we wanna start implementing some changes in our lives. It starts right here. This little animatronic dancing fish. That's the way to go. So first one comes from Reckless Pixel. My grandpa did drawings of the faces of the people he killed in World War II. No one knows why, but my grandma said he had a lot of guilt over the things he saw. So my guess is he didn't want to forget them or didn't feel like he should be allowed to forget them. That's pretty awesome, though. I mean, At what point is he kind of forced to draw them because he just can't get it out of his head? And what point he's kind of just doing it to remember them? But I mean, I kind of think that that's a good one, right? And the World War II, that's always a good war to have been fought, to have fought in, right? That's a noble war, I mean, not obviously for the Nazis, but for the Allies, right? That's a great war. There's a clear enemy in that one. But also this goes to show, oh my God, I've been seeing so many commercials for the military, and I don't know about you, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not a big military fan. All right, I'm just not a fan of the military and the military industrial complex. I think to a certain extent, defense is important, but, offensive military, not a big fan for me. And I think it goes to show, they make these commercials that make it seem like being in the military is just like playing a video game. They're really tapping into that audience. I've seen some commercials and they're like, be a Navy SEAL because you could be like John Wick and whip out 2 pistols and just fucking, you know what I mean? It's that's a really terrible ideal. That's a really awful thing to work towards. Killing people is a bad thing. We shouldn't be killing people. Okay, this is something we should not be doing. And this just goes to show, even people who are clearly the enemy, all right, they have horrible beliefs. They have terrible ideologies. We have trauma from killing them too. Okay, so just gonna say, killing people, it's probably, there's probably a good reason why we get PTSD because of these things. Because killing people, it's not something you should just be like, no biggie, just brush that one off the shoulders. Am I right? Just keep moving forward day after day. Don't really think that I would be very uncomfortable if that was my response. A reply from Full Throttle Jazz Hands. My grandfather, who was in Italy on Omaha and in the Bulge, did something similar. Every evening before bed, he'd visualize the German soldiers he had killed and would say a prayer for each and ask for forgiveness from them. In a way, I think he felt the pain of remembering them every day. I think he felt feeling the pain of remembering them every day was his penitence. Yeah, that's a good thing. It's probably the right thing to do. That's probably the virtuous thing to do. I don't think we should just forget about people we've killed. That sounds very sadistic to me and very psychopathic. I don't know what the word is. Next one comes from Loretta Dion. I'm African American and my husband is white. My father faced a lot of prejudice during his lifetime, and I was terrified of telling him that the white guy I'd been on a date or two with, I was getting serious with. The first time I brought my now husband home, my dad was courteous but distant. Miraculously, by the second time, my father literally gushed all over my husband. I don't know if that's the right word. Even my siblings were shocked. When we got married, he was beaming. It was odd, but I was just happy my husband had won him over. My mom died in 2014 and my father in 2021. When my siblings and I went to clean the house, in his safe, along with other important documents, we found letters that my husband had written to my father 24 years before about how he felt about me, how serious he was about his relationship with me, and how he was planning to go to law school. He did, and he's an attorney now. How he respected that he'd gone through so much in his lifetime, and eventually how he loved me, and how with his blessing he was going to propose. My husband never told me he'd written my father, and my father never told me he'd been corresponding with my husband. It was so emotional finding those. I still tear up when I think about it. When I go home, my husband finally showed me the letters my father had written back. This is an amazing story. That's so wholesome. Holy crap. That's man, don't you just love when virtuous things are done in secret and then you kind of just find out about them? That to me is always just the greatest thing. Maybe this isn't necessarily in secret, but my grandpa doesn't really think that this is he doesn't really think this is as wild of a thing as I kind of make it out to be. And even my mom to a certain extent. But Because my grandpa was like 21 when he met my grandma, but my grandma had already had like 3 kids. And at 21, my grandpa just like adopted them, and just that was the way life was. He just adopted them. And then I'm like, but of course he doesn't talk about it or anything. And I never thought much about this when I was a kid, because you don't understand like how families work. But then as I'm older, I'm like questioning my grandpa. I'm like, that's like you just like at 21 years old, you just decided you were going to parent 3 little children. I'm 22 years old, and I don't even have a fish. Okay, I couldn't even parent a gerbil. All right, like I couldn't even imagine 3 babies, 3 children. You know what I mean? But it's always awesome when you learn about virtuous things like that, because it's like people for like recognition. Like I never heard my grandpa say anything and like hold that over anyone's head or anything like that. And it's just like that's so awesome. You know, it's important that we do things without the motivation of being recognized for why we do them. So that's an awesome story. Next one comes from Abby Bakub. A diary with only few entries from my few entries from my uncle who lived alone. One of the entries was about how sad he was to have never met anyone or had children, and how lonely he was. It broke my heart. Edit. Wow, sorry to depress so many people on a Friday night. My dad and his best friend actually found the diary and saved it from the house before all the other family pounced. What? My dad didn't care about material possessions, but he wanted to protect my uncle's thoughts. Whoa, that's crazy. It did feel wrong to be reading it, but curiosity killed the cat. Yeah, I mean, this is like that's a tough read. That's definitely a different read than the one before. Yeah, it's not a very optimistic read. So let's just hope for the best that those things don't happen to my friends here on the podcast. Next one comes from M. Zunguman. I hope that comes from Zang. Shout out to Yellowman. That my dad hid money all over the house. Not huge amounts, mind you, but $60 here, $120 there. I felt like a bit of a scavenger hunt when we were cleaning out his stuff. He was always a bit of a sneakily generous guy. Always gave me and my brothers a secret handshake with money tucked in his palm when we go back to school after a weekend home. So wouldn't be surprised if he'd done it intentionally. Made us smile every time we found some. I think the final total was somewhere around $800. That's a lot of money to hide. Like $800 is that's so tough, man. Like you're gonna just forget about that. It's like there's money around the house. It's like the final deathbed thing. It's like I've hidden money around the house. It's like, okay, where is it? It's in the. You just have to search for it. You just have to rip the house apart. That kind of would have been a fun scavenger hunt. But why are you hiding the money though? Like, is that like a? I don't. Can you just put it? Can't this be put it in one of those old like cookie tins or something? Like, where's the? I don't know. I guess maybe it doesn't come as naturally to me because I literally never have cash. I don't carry physical money on me almost ever. So, but yeah, I don't. Is it hiding it? Who are you hiding it from? Like, are you expecting someone to be like, I need $800 right now? You can have it if you can find it. I mean, it's not like you're hiding a giant sum of money, like $25,000 or something. Next one comes from Funk Me Mister. Not a secret, but a near secret. My grandfather, who spoke English as a third language, was a bit of a hoarder. Loads of old shit stockpiled in his basement, but well organized. Imagine seeing a generic episode of Horrors, but with a prepper OCD vibe. Everything was, I think there are episodes like that. Is that not a thing? Everything was sanitized, stacked, /nested, and grouped logically. It was like the stockroom for an old store that wasn't yet sure what the products it was going to be selling and wanted to be ready. So we find a cylindrical container that was kind of heavy for its size, and it had the label Old Penis. It was one of those black plastic film containers. Hesitant but curious, we removed the lid. It contained a collection of 1 cent pieces which had been minted in the first half of the 20th century. Part of me was disappointed, but part of me was relieved. Old pennies. That's what it meant to say. Maybe one of the letters got scratched off there. Old penis. I don't know if I'd want to open that up. What could that mean? Yeah, had to upgrade a couple years ago. Just wasn't cutting it. With modern technology, we've made significant advances in the human biotechnology. So, when the opportunity came, I had to get a replacement. Yep. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, do I really want to throw away the old one? I don't know. I just don't know. What if I need it? What if someone else needs it? Right? What if it's just someone who is just in need of a penis? You never know. You really never know in days and times like this. This is why hoarders keep their stuff, because you just never know. So, you've got your brand new penis, and it's a spick and span, nice and shiny, nice and however one of those would work or function or look. But you got it fresh out the box, fresh out the you just unwrapped it, and but now you're thinking to yourself, what do you do with the old one? Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, that we need to make a concerted effort to keeping these sorts of things. These things are valuable, right? You just never know the situation. You might just find yourself in that perfect situation. You're thinking, I know the answer. I know the thing. It's just right here. It's my old penis. This is gonna change the game, folks. Really gonna change the game. Next one comes from Counselor. That my father committed suicide and did not die of a heart attack. That he was a cop under investigation for theft and took the quick way out. What secret was revealed? How? What? I don't understand. I feel like this needs more like, how is that a secret that somebody committed suicide? I mean, is this really? Like, this is not to be insensitive or anything, but that sounds pretty obvious if somebody committed suicide. Like, by most means. I generally don't think you find people who commit suicide and then think to yourself, was this a heart attack? Generally, the methodology is a little bit different. I'm trying to be sensitive to the times here, folks. I'm not trying to say that. Please don't commit suicide. You don't want to have to say that, but in today's time, you might have to say that. But how is that? Yeah, I guess I just don't know if that's the. And how did you go from figuring out that he committed suicide to what? This needs more context. That he was a cop under investigation for theft and took the quick way out. How did you find that information? Was that just like, did you just piece that together yourself? You just started looking through his old files and just started to think this doesn't match up. We've uncovered ourselves the biggest scandal in the town's history, and it was all from my dad. It's like, most of the documents that I feel like you would find after cleaning out someone's house after they passed away would be garbage, like junk. Just like, I feel like this is even like Sherlock Holmes or something. You're just going through all the old files trying to uncover the mystery of the embezzlement from the police station. Mary T. Williams. This next one comes from, cleaning out my grandpa's apartment, we found different pieces of a handgun scattered around. He struggled on and off with depression. Apparently he did it so that if he was thinking about suicide, he would have to go and find all the parts and give himself time to talk himself out of it. I mean, I guess that's okay. That's not a bad idea. I mean, this is why it's so important. Like, if I can ever get this show sponsored, I feel like my first sponsor is gonna trying to get someone sponsored is gonna be like BetterHelp, because I know that they sponsor like a lot of podcasts and stuff and YouTube videos and whatnot. But this is the problem with the older generations, is like, suicide is a very bad thing. This is a bad thing. If we want to stop this thing from happening, we need to talk about it. It's not something that we just need to like repress. You know what I mean? If you're having suicidal thoughts, the worst thing you can do is like keep that to yourself, because it's only going to get worse. Please, please, we need to talk about these things. This is the older generation. They think that talking about, these types of thoughts is like somehow like, I don't get the reasoning. Like it shows weakness or something. It's like, no, it shows a sign of immense strength. Like it's not easy to talk about these things. It's really not. I think it shows immense power and strength to be able to talk about those sorts of issues. We got to flip the script here, folks. We really do. We got to really start hammering this home to the older generations. Let's see which other. Next one comes from Jinx5326. My dad kept a handwritten note in his wallet containing my mom's old address, phone number, and directions to her house from when they first started dating in the 70s. He moved it from wallet to wallet over the years. He just died this past March, and that was one of the first things that we found. Remember, yeah, I'm so privileged to grow up in a time where I don't need directions. I would be so fucked. I would be so screwed if someone was like, oh my God. I saw a meme the other day that was like when you ask for directions, people say head south. It's like, who do you think I am? Christopher Columbus? Head south? Like, what do you mean south? Where the fuck is south? For the longest time, because I live in Halifax, the longest time I thought North Halifax was east. I'm like, don't you mean East Halifax? It's like, I had to learn that not any direction you're just like standing that seems like it's north to you is north. I mean, it's not the way it works. There are real directions, and learning them is very important. Because if I would have thought I was hiking north if I needed to go north and ended up the direction that I was hiking, I would have found nothing at all. So there we go, folks. Learning directions. Yeah, when people, and I'm so bad with like street names and stuff. Like I couldn't imagine getting like going on a date from someone and they're like, "Oh yeah, I live at 308 Negro Royal Lane." And I have to go and search that up in a phone book. Like just like sketching out the way and the route to get there, and I have to like remember this in my mind. I'm like, how did you do this? I think this could be one of the most difficult tasks a person could give me now in this modern world, is just like figure your way out to this like random location. I'd be so screwed. Like Apple Maps I'm dependent on technology. So yeah, I'm gonna go find my grandpa. If the apocalypse happens, the first person I'm finding is my grandpa. He's got all that. He knows everything. I'm just gonna go right there. Teach me directions. Teach me how to find the rest of the world. Next one comes from Foreign Lawns. My dad was in hospice at home for a couple months before he died of lung cancer, and when I went out to clean his house, I found that he had already sorted and packed away most of his personal treasures in a couple of storage bins. It was heartbreaking all over again, thinking of him sitting there packing up his own life, knowing that it was coming to an end. Well, I think death is inevitable, right? This is all something we're all going to experience. So, of course, death is a sad thing, but at the end of the day, it's easy to also think of this as like a really heartwarming experience, because you get to have some moments to actually like remember this person's life, experience their life through what they collected as their memories of their own life, right? Because the things that we collect are a reflection of who we are. So when someone goes through our things, it's almost like they get to experience who we are again, right? The things that we have decided to keep, right? The things that we've decided are meaningful to us. And other people get to learn about us when they get to see the types of things that we thought were important to ourselves. And I think it's really important to just go through people's things and think about that sort of stuff. It's a good thing. This episode is really, really like heartwarming. This hasn't been the classic comedy episode. Next one comes from The Last Mongo. Found my grandparents' wedding certificate, which didn't match the date everyone else had. Their original date was 9 months before my aunt was born. Their certificate was dated about 5 months before she was born. What? Comment Katie Vicky says, that seems to have happened a lot back then. My great-grandparents did something similar, but instead of changing their wedding date, they pushed the date of my great-uncle's birthday back a few months to make it look like he was born 9 months after the wedding. Oh, geez. Oh, 9 months before your aunt was born. Do I see? Because they had relations outside of wedlock. Oh no, the world is gonna crumble at its feet if we allow this to happen. This is out of wedlock. The sun is gonna fry the earth if we let this happen. This is just really. What could possibly happen that's so bad? It's like, do you guys like each other? Do you guys want to be parents with each other? I think that's kind of all you need. I don't think a wedding band really is going to seal the deal on that one. Because plenty of people have kids and get married and they don't stay together. And they shouldn't have been. So I don't really think marriage is the key there. I think maybe certain ideologies have that wrong. It's like you can't have kids out of marriage. It's like, is the marriage the thing that's going to save everything in terms of you being... Marriage doesn't make you a good parent. Is marriage the thing that's going to... Is that really the hill you want to die on of the importance of what it means to have a family? I'd honestly, argue it's probably like the least important thing. I think it goes like, providing for your family, making sure you have food, shelter, water, and then way down at the bottom is paying like thousands of dollars to have a religious figure basically say, okay, you guys are like officially together, like in the eyes of the law or whatever. I think that's like just getting the confirmation of a well, I don't even know. It doesn't even have to be a religious figure anymore. It's people who are ordained. It's like getting an ordinance or whatever in order for people to get to ordained or something. It's like the government to be like, yep, you guys are together now. Yep. This relationship is really official now because we're the government. I think that's probably the least of like your worries in terms of having a successful relationship. Next one comes from Jana Wing. Cleaning out my grandparents' house after they passed away. Excuse me. We found a booklet on sexual anatomy, a penis eraser, a penis that my grandma had crocheted, and there were walnuts in the nutsack, and a drawing my grandpa did of my grandma wearing nothing but a feather boa. This is peak humanity. This is what humans are really like. If you want to know what people are really like, you just got to wait till people die and then just go through all their shit, and then you find stuff like this, and it's like, yeah, humans are no more or less like sexual than we've ever been. We're just like more open about it now. We just allow ourselves to not be shamed anymore. It's like there's literally nothing wrong with that. And it's like the more and more like secrecy you place around, sexual stuff, the worse the outcomes tend to be because people start making their decisions that are uninformed. It's almost like just telling someone who's never driven a car as soon as they're 16 years old, being like, here are the keys. It's like, go drive, go pick this up from me. And they've never driven before, ever in their life. Do you really expect that person to not, get into a car accident? To, not know how a car works? I mean, these are like basic sorts of things, right? That is so fucking funny, though. That's awesome. Shout out your grandparents. Next one comes from Roland Blaze. My dad passed away in 1994 when I was 28. While going through his safe, I found some adoption papers. While reading through them, I got excited at the prospect I might have a brother out there somewhere. I was raised as an only child, but I couldn't understand why my parents never told me that they'd adopted a child, but never told me. After rereading them, I realized that their papers were about me. After confronting my family about this, turns out everyone, family, close friends, everyone knew that I was adopted, except for me. That was a fun day. That is so shocking. Like, really? Like, it's not like what do people think that you're gonna be like mad? It's like, That doesn't change the fact you had a good life. I mean, if you did. It doesn't change the fact you had, like, amazing parents. They're still your parents. They adopted you. Like, they raised you. It's like, other than the fact that you were adopted, I mean, that's kind of important information, you know? It's kind of just like, oh, I was adopted. Like, maybe I want to learn more about my family or my history or my genetics or something or whatever. You know, keeping that information from a person is kind of like what's the harm, right? Like, why wouldn't you tell them? It's kind of like, you know, is it really that big of a, oh my God, you were adopted. You were taken in by generous, caring, kind people and raised to have a very generous life, and they cared about you, and it's, oh no, what oh, they're never gonna forget this. It's like, if I found out that I was adopted, I'd kind of be shocked, but it's not gonna change the relationship I have with my parents. I still love them, care about them, cherish my relationship with them. But yeah, I mean, think about if one happened to you. The fact that, like, everyone was just like, this is like the Truman Show when he's like, "Is this real?" And he's like, do you want a beer? How about we have some beer? Do you want to just hang? Let's go hang. Let's go play some pool. You know, it's like, it's a little sus. Next one comes from Miss Trixie. This isn't cleaning out their home, but when my husband passed away a few years ago, I found several notes or letters he had scattered in various places around our home, written to me in advance. He had terminal cancer and knew that he was dying. Some were marked "Open when you can't stop crying," "Open when the holidays are too rough," "Open when you have to put one of the cats to sleep." They didn't contain any secrets, but they are heartbreakingly beautiful. That's awesome. So many of these are so wholesome. I was expecting people to be like really awful and depraved, but these are like surprisingly awesome. Next one comes from Truce Kelt. After my grandfather died, I asked my dad to quietly go through his dad's bedroom while I took my grandmother out to lunch. I explained that my granddad might have racy magazines about that would be upsetting to my grandma if she found them. So just be a good son and save your mom from that. When we got back, my dad was nearly hysterical, half laughing, half barfing, and pulled me into the garage to debrief. Apparently, my grandfather, who was exactly the devout Catholic that he appeared to be, and what my poor father had found in his bedside table, was a stack of cheesecake pictures of his own mother. What is that? What are cheesecake pictures? I feel like we need to look this up, folks. I have cheesecake pictures? What the hell? Okay. Okay, wait, what? Photographs of... Okay. U.S. old-fashioned slang. Yeah, using obscure terminology is the best on the internet. I'm like, what? Photographs of sexually attractive young women wearing very few clothes. Okay. Like, what? Cheesecake pictures? Why were they called cheesecake pictures? Because cheesecake is a... I don't even like cheesecake. Cheesecake is the fact that we have to debate about whether cheesecake is good or not probably means that it's probably not the most delicious thing around. Okay, what about just normal cake? I like how the old generations have such like roundabout ways to like comment on stuff. You know, like it's like, why don't you just like say it? You can just say cheesecake pictures. My gal sent me some cheesecake photos the other night. I got me real riled up. It's like, did you really? You have to be like secretive about that. She's like, oh, my wife sent me some like, you know, like nudes. I don't know. Like, is that like a thing? Like, I don't know. I don't even know. Anyways, next one comes from Travis in London. Nan was rich AF. She left 90% of her money to a dog charity. Didn't bother me, but my cousins still haven't gotten over it. Hey, man. Maybe she was, she needed to teach her kids a final lesson, all right? You know, all of the money I had, it's going to dog charity. I feel like they're low-key, though. Maybe there's a better charity. I don't know if dogs are really the ones who are in need. I think there's a lot of other people in the world who might need that money a little bit more than dogs, but That's a pretty wild way to go out with, yeah. I could give money to people, but fuck it. I love dogs. Next one comes from, which, you know what? If the dogs need it, I'm not against it. It's just, it's the scale, right? It's the scale. Next one comes from Flashy Photo 5613. My parents were getting back together. My dad died at 50 of a heart attack. My mom was devastated. Her health declined rapidly, and she died at 49 3 months later. I cleaned out both their homes and found calls, texts, and love letters. They wanted to be together again, but didn't want to put their kids and grandkids through a reconciliation until they were confident it'd work out. I knew she'd be devastated. They'd been together almost 30 years, but they were 2 years divorced and casually seeing other people. They seemed to be thriving apart, so it was a shock when the grief was so strong that it took out the life of her. She died of cancer, but the doctor also diagnosed her with failure to thrive, brought on by the loss of my dad. Failure to thrive. Holy shit. If I could possibly die from failure to thrive, I might be in trouble here, folks. Holy shit. Is this an actual diagnosis? Failure to thrive? Failure to slay. Brought on by the loss of my dad, and said that it may have been possible for her to live longer and even receive treatment if the failure to thrive hadn't taken everything she was before her cancer diagnosis. The only thing, I don't know if we should be calling it failure to thrive. This makes it sound like, I didn't become a backstage dancer for Jason Derulo. Like you are failing to thrive, okay? You are just, you're not thriving right now, okay? Like, your dreams of being a backup dancer, are just, are quashed. You're never going to live a happy life now. It's like, you might die from failure to thrive. Like, oh. The only thing worse than losing my dad was watching my mom live without him. So at the end of the day, I'm grateful she didn't live without him for too long. She never would have had the peace here again. She found her peace with him on the other side. This is kind of like a plot line from Sex Education. So tune into Sex Education. They just released the very last season. I watched it all. It's a heartthrob of a season. I cried multiple times. But watch Sex Education. It is an amazing show, and it works to deconstruct so many stereotypes and actually give a nuanced and descriptive and in-depth view of what it's like to be a young person nowadays, but it's also a minority young people, especially there are people who listen to this show, and that's why I try to make the show inclusive, right? To, all of our diverse folks, no matter where you're from, doesn't matter your culture, skin color or anything like that, or your gender, sexual orientation, ethnicity, all that sort of stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of certain religious ideologies, but that's just because I'm kind of an atheist. So, but anyways, and I think some religious traditions, especially the Western ones, are a little goofy. They have some strange, like we just talked about marriage. It's like, really, bro? This is what defines relationships. But anyways, yeah, it's just a great show. Really, really nuanced take on people. But we try to be loving and inclusive here on this show. And the last one comes from Cupcake PNW. My 97-year-old uncle had a very decent pot stash and pipe collection. Hey, so these are the things that we respect upon the death. If I went and discovered that, and my uncle would be like, sick, nice, good for you, keeping it real. As long as there's no problems with it, then cheech on. Anyways, why don't we wrap it up there for today, folks? Thank you all so much for tuning into the Reddit Ask Us podcast for this another episode. Remember, if you're watching on Apple or watching on YouTube, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts, please, please, please leave us a rating, and also please leave us a review. I have no idea how much that helps the show. Remember, you can answer this week's Reddit question by clicking the description of the episode in Spotify and clicking the white icon that says reply, and I will read that response aloud on the next week's following episode. And remember, even if there is nothing to comment, I really do appreciate just people, telling me their thoughts about the show and just giving me their general comments, because I just, it's really useful, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. I will see y'all next week. Peace out. Love you. Bye.